A celebrity chef in New York City owes his landlord more than $145,000 and has been able to avoid eviction for more than 4.5 years. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News.
Okay, so it's in May 15th, which is not possible, obviously, because it's not May 15th. So the denial from L&T was May 6th. I'm looking at the wrong date now. So this was okay, so it's in May 15th, which is not possible, obviously, because it's not May 15th. So the denial from L&T was May 6th.
All right, so I have quite the interesting article for you today. And once again, it's coming out of New York City. Now, as you know, New York is one of those places where you can avoid eviction for darn near forever, okay? You just keep on filing these frivolous appeals and keep on dragging the landlord through the process. And guess what? That landlord is just gonna have to house you for free, okay? That's what the city of New York, that's what the state of New York has been telling landlords for years, that you don't matter. And this is a prime example of that right here. So this tenant is a celebrity chef, one that used to be on the Food Network itself. And that's kind of funny because, you know what? Here you have a person who is, quasi-famous. I'm not going to say that this person is really famous anymore. There has been at this point, right? And now they have just basically turned into a criminal where they're stealing money from a landlord, okay? That is all they're doing because at the end of the day, if you take something that does not belong to you, okay? And in the case of a landlord-tenant relationship, if you decide to live in a place and not pay the rent, you are stealing. I don't care what you call, oh, no, this is a landlord-tenant relationship and this is a civil issue. No, it is theft, period, okay? And calling it anything other than that, it minimizes what these people are actually doing, the impact that they're having on the landlords in question. Now, I know they're thinking, oh, well, these landlords are rich. They can, you know what? It doesn't matter. Stealing is stealing. Whether you're stealing from a wealthy person, whether you're stealing from another poor person, whether you're stealing from the devil himself, it is theft, okay? You are still committing a sin. And it deserves to be punished, in my opinion. And you should call it for what it is, okay? If somebody's lying to you, it's, oh, well, they're just stretching the truth. It's just that lack of people willing to take responsibility for their own actions that angers me the most, okay? People need to accept the fact that, hey, these people, these tenants who are not paying their rent, they are stealing, period. Okay, so before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like, subscribe button, and leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. Do you believe that not paying the rent by a tenant is theft? Okay, I believe it's theft. I believe it should be treated as theft. If you don't pay the money back that you owe, you are stealing, period. You should be treated just like any other common thief. If you were to go into a store and take a product worth thousands of dollars, in this case $145,000, that'd be considered grand theft, okay? That is a fraud and a theft combined, okay? And there should not be a civil issue. It should be a criminal issue where this guy gets thrown in jail. And I want to see that, okay? But it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen anywhere. The real problem we have here is that at one point in time, there was an actual landlord-tenant relationship going on. And then this tenant, who is a con artist, by the way, used every trick in the book to be able to stay in this place for free. So let me tell you exactly how he did it as we go through this article. This article is coming from the New York Post, and it says, TV chef Madison Cohen using legal loopholes to avoid paying rent for the past 4.5 years, landlord. Yeah, 4.5 years. And some of that time was during the pandemic, so they had the eviction moratoriums going on. And that was part of the reason why this scam artist was able to get away with this crap for so long. So anyway, let's see what the article says. Celebrity chef Madison Cohen has relied on soft eviction laws to avoid more than $145,000 in rent payments on his Brooklyn apartment the past 4.5 years, his landlord claims. The British-born former champ of the Food Network's Chopped and Iron Chef owes 53 months in back rent on a one-bedroom Boerum Hill pad he and his family have occupied since October of 2019, according to landlord Gus Sheeha. Cohen hasn't paid a cent of rent since January of 2020, relying on legal loopholes like repeatedly appealing eviction orders to remain in the State Street apartment, said the landlord. And you know what? This stuff, it is becoming common knowledge with the tenants. In order, they know what it takes in order to avoid eviction. They know the paperwork they have to file. They know the things they have to say just to drag it out just for a little bit longer, right? And the way they see it is, every extra month, every extra day that I get where I don't have to pay rent is a win for me. So even if one day they do eventually get evicted, right? If it took him 5 years for that to happen, you got 5 years of free rent. And let's say the rent was, in a place like Brooklyn, New York, it's probably something like $2,000 or $3,000 a month, at least. Okay, I'm going on the cheap end here. So let's say it's $2,000 a month, just going on the super duper cheap end. I know it's not that cheap. I'm sure the New York people get on here. Oh, you can't rent anywhere in Brooklyn for $2,000. But I'm using it for mathematical purposes to make a point. So let's go with my example of $2,000 a month, right? 12 months, you've already saved $24,000. Okay, after. Jeez, $24,000 that is insane. Okay, after 4 years, you've saved $96,000. Okay, after 5 years, and remember, this is just the lost rent. Now, this doesn't include the fact that the landlord is also owed, late fees, any damages done to the property, etc. Okay, so this is a terrible position for a landlord to be placed in, where you still have to pay your mortgage payment, your payment on your loan. You still have to pay for utilities. You still have to pay for maintenance, because it's required by law that you maintain the property even though you're paid nothing. Okay? That's like telling a car rental place, yes, you must continue to do oil changes on this car. You must replace the tires, do a tune-up on the car. You must continue to do all that. And you must put fuel into the car. But the person who rented the car isn't paying you. And they are just driving it for free at this point. And you're like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Can I go get my car back? No, you cannot have your car back. That is a civil issue. You must go to civil court. Oh, by the way, there is a car rental moratorium. Yeah, you see, when you do it with any other item, right, this whole nonsense doesn't make any sense. But for a rental property, this is supposed to be logical. This is supposed to make sense. But it doesn't. It absolutely does not. And what we're coming down to is the deterioration of property rights in places like New York, where a landlord, a property owner, doesn't truly own their property, but instead they are being so controlled by the government regulations that they cannot properly, have their property for their enjoyment. So yeah, this is nightmare. And believe me, I believe it's constitutional. Okay. But the Supreme Court won't take this nonsense up. They won't. Okay. The state courts won't take this nonsense up. And the elected politicians in place in New York, they are more concerned with getting reelected than they are of making sure that people's rights aren't being violated. So yeah, we've got a bad situation here. So let me continue with this article and tell you what this celebrity chef has done. I've never seen anything more absurd in my life, fumed Sheeha. This is why people are getting out of New York. The system is completely broken and purposely set up to punish the landlord. I'm out over $140,000 in rent, but I still have to pay for insurance, taxes, water, he said. Cohen, whose website notes he's catered posh events for former President Bill Clinton, actress Scarlett Johansson, and other A-listers, initially took advantage of a pandemic-driven state moratorium on evictions from March of 2020 through mid-January of 2022. Since then, judges have ordered Cohen's eviction on 5 separate occasions, but he's dodged each time by running to court and filing new appeals. All it would take would be a judge to say, hey, this appeal is frivolous. You've already used up all of your appeals. This is ridiculous. You've appealed 5 times. You've been sitting in this place not paying rent for over 4 years. Why do the judges not have any common sense? You know, sometimes I wonder if the hands of the judges are tied. Like, you know, there's some kind of law in place saying that, oh, well, you have to do this. You do not have independent decision-making capability. You know, like I've heard a lot of cases where judges' hands are tied in that way. So, you know, like they have to grant a criminal, they have to release them without bond because the state law says it. They don't have any ability of their own to determine, hey, this person is too much a threat of society and we need to keep them in jail. And you know what? That's horrible when you have basically tied the hands of good judges and prevented them from being able to make decisions that are easy to make, that are logical, that have, you know, that take nothing but common sense. But you've tied their hands and now they have to make dumb decisions that don't make any sense because instead of protecting good tenants, right? These laws, they protect bad tenants. They protect bad tenants and they hurt good landlords. So yeah, this guy, you know, he's a typical professional tenant scammer. And it's unfortunate that, you know, he's a celebrity, but you know what? Celebrities are no better than other normal people. You know, I've told you stories before about people who worked in the medical profession who were squatting in other people's houses. I've told you about a police officer who made over $100,000 a year who was a serial scammer and squatter, you know? And so, you know what? The profession of the person doesn't matter, okay? All that matters is their moral integrity. And these people, they don't have any moral integrity. This guy is a scammer. He's a con artist. He is stealing from this landlord. He needs to be evicted. And you know what? I feel bad for the landlord here, but you know, here we're going to go back to what I always say, right? Do not invest in a place where you don't have your property rights, okay? Places like New York, it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. And I know you're sitting there, you're thinking, oh yeah, man, I'm gonna make so much money on appreciation. I'm gonna, you know, like the property values, they go through the roof and the rents are really high and I know the area, and no. This is torture long term. Now you're out $145,000, okay? Hopefully, if you own any other units, you're still making a profit, but man, you know, I mean, I know you can write off some of that, but that is a huge loss, okay? So anyway, I'll put a link to the article in the description down below. Let me know what you think of this whole crazy situation.